Hey, how you doing? Thanks for downloading the show. Welcome to Garden Fork Radio. It's eclectic DIY. I'm Eric. I'm your host. I also have a YouTube channel, also called Garden Fork, also super eclectic-y. I call it, blanking. It's basically, the YouTube channel is essentially a video blog masquerading as a DIY channel. I've kind of just, I do what I want and I make a video about it, and I hope people will be interested. And I hope you're interested in this show here. If this is your first time, welcome. If you've already been here before, hello. It's good to have you back. I have actually topics to talk about. I wrote these down like an adult. So let's just jump right in. It is 100 degrees. I am in Brooklyn, in our Brooklyn apartment here. We are lucky to have heat pump mini splits, which is a very efficient air conditioning heating system. And we are also on the first floor of a brownstone, which is sometimes called a townhouse, sometimes called a row house, sometimes it's called a brownstone. They're buildings that are all together. There's no space between them. It's the city. It's Brooklyn, which I happen to love being in. A lot of times during heat waves, we will go up to the house in the woods, but at this point, it's 100 degrees up at the house, and we don't have any air conditioning, and the labs just, any kind of dogs just don't do well in heat. So here we are. I just thought some of this stuff is kind of obvious, but if you are in a heat wave, you really want to hydrate. Water works great. The Gatorade kind of drinks. I get the sugar-free ones. I think that's a little bit better, a little lower calorie thing, but also I don't do well with too much sugar. It starts my brain racing, and then I crash and want to fall asleep. So anyway, there you go. You can drink, you can order a decaf coffee if you want an iced decaf coffee. If you're where you're at, they don't make that. You could ask for an iced decaf Americano, which is an espresso with hot water, then they throw ice into it. If that's that's an oxymoron. I don't know what that is. Anyway, interesting thing, there is a YouTuber who does a great channel about coffee. His name is James Hoffman, and he did I think it's a 4-video deep dive on, there are 3 different ways to decaffeinate coffee. And I was always a little in the woods about this. There's one called the Swiss method, I think. And there's one called the water method, which I think is the same thing. But he actually, and he's like one of these super coffee dudes who maybe at some point were very down on decaf. But I think decaf is kind of coming into its own, because people like me just I can't drink a whole caffeinated coffee. I am on the ceiling. So he has a video series called The Decaf Project. If you just type in James Hoffman Decaf Project, they will all come up. There is, and he's got, I just love it because he lives in the UK, but he went to Germany, he went to Canada, and he went one other place. And they did the 3 methods of decaf, and they all 3 are fine. One of them has, I'm sorry, it's clear, there's the carbon dioxide method. But clearly I haven't done any. I just said, I just want to talk about this. There are 3 methods to decaffeinating coffee. So I'm just going to ask what they are in the computer here, okay? And then I'll know the word I'm looking for. 3 methods to decaf coffee. And one of them is called solvent-based, using methylene chloride or ethyl acetate. And I thought that was really bad. That was like, they're putting chemicals in the coffee. And there are 2 things that I was reminded about. Is first, scientist Tony, who recently passed away, was our scientist on the show, and he pointed out that humans are made up of chemicals. And I actually reinforce a lot, because not all chemicals are bad. And it's like, it's got chemicals in it, it's bad. The ethyl acetate method actually involves fermented sugar cane. So that, so you hear about these chemical names, and then it says, oh, it's fermented sugar cane that they use. So it's not nearly as horrible as it's made to be. And I was like, oh, okay. Then there's a Swiss water process, and then there's the carbon dioxide method. But back to James Hoffmann, he did a video about each one of these, and I really liked that, to the point that he did a crowd-based or community-based project where he worked with coffee roasters, small batch coffee roasters around the world, to take these decaf beans and roast them locally, and then do drop shipping for people that wanted to be part of this decaf tasting project, which I think was really cool. So you got different local roasters roasting the same kind of beans and what people think, and which way the decaf way was best to do it. I don't think there was a clear winner, but I really appreciate that he took the time to kind of debunk bad, I don't know if the word is bad science or propaganda against science. Anyway, but if you type in James Hoffmann Decaf Project, or if I can remember to put the playlist in the show notes. Do you ever use the show notes? I put links in there. There are clickable links in the show notes. So that's in the text description of this. Anyway, interesting thing though about heat and avoiding dehydrating, because caffeine will dehydrate you in drinking decaf. I actually have asthma, and we were out this morning with the labs. We go to the big park near us, and there is a beach that they can go swimming. It's called the Dog Beach. And I felt like I was going sideways. I just did not feel well. And of course, the camera operator can tell this long before I can. She's like, "You don't feel well, do you?" And I'm like, "No, I don't." I have asthma, and it was kicking on. I could start to feel my chest hurting and tightening up. And so we went home. I do have an inhaler. But if you don't have your inhaler, and if you or a friend is having, I guess what you call an asthma attack, is you can feed them coffee, because coffee has caffeine in it, and caffeine causes your heart rate to rise. And albuterol, which is a ingredient in a lot of asthma inhalers, also raises your heart rate. And I believe that is done to reduce the amount of inflammation and fluids in your lungs. Isn't that cool? So it's just kind of one of those neat things where if you're having an asthma attack and you can't get to the Walgreens to get the over-the-counter stuff because you forgot your inhaler, how many people have done that? I carry mine in my backpack now. And yeah, so I am super sensitive to caffeine. So I did my inhaler this morning, but also I wasn't still not feeling 100%. So I had a sip of iced coffee, the camera operator. And still I was like, I need to lie down. So I lied down on the couch. And then a very, very wet yellow Labrador climbed on top of me while I'm on the couch, because that's what she does. Have you ever had a wet Labrador climb on top of you? There's a love and beauty to that, but it's also like, oh man, I'm all wet now, and it's a leather couch, so the couch is all wet. So, yeah, that was a deep dive. But yeah, if you're going out, just grab one of the Gatorade type drinks. They do have some glucose, but they have some salts that are in there, and it just goes a long way. Regular water works very well as well. There you go. Am I recording? Did I hit the record button? Yeah, I did. I think I did. Yes. Okay. Mild panic. That happens on every episode. I look up and I make sure that I hit the button, the red dot, Anyway. So I've talked about this a little bit before, but I found myself more and more shooting the Garden Fork videos with my iPhone. And I have a second iPhone, and I actually just posted a beekeeping video with, I had my GoPro in my hand, and then I just had my phone and I stuck it on a tripod in kind of like a wide shot of me and Brian and the beehive, and just hit record on that. And editing a 2-camera video takes longer, and it can be a pain unless you start and stop both cameras at the same time or try and time code sync them, which is beyond me in the iPhones. I used to have to do that in the film world I worked in. But so I have an iPhone 12 as my carry-around phone, and then I have an iPhone 10, which I wanted to upgrade, and so I got the 12. And I always buy them refurbished. I got them on Amazon or eBay. You save a lot of money that way. But what I realize is just having those two cameras, I made a video which we'll post maybe tomorrow if I can edit it. But both cameras are part of the Apple 12 has MagSafe built in. The Apple 10 does not. But MagSafe is basically you can clamp, instead of having a tripod with a grippy thing to hold your camera, you can just take a magnet mount, put it on your tripod, and just clamp your camera, just sticks to it. So it's so easy to unclamp the camera, just pull it off the tripod. You don't have to screw anything down. So I got a phone case with a little magnetic ring in it for the iPhone 10. The iPhone 12, the case is MagSafe compatible, it's called. And I really like that. The problem with that is that I left the iPhone 10 up at the little house. I know exactly where it's in the living room, still magnetized, clamped to the tripod, and I need the footage off that. And the camera operator, in her ultimate smartest person in the room, wisdom, she goes, "Well, do you have iCloud backup turned on?" And I was like, no. And I don't, because of past experience. Apple iCloud, it gives you a backup. I don't know. It's like it's a gig or something, and you can back up your phone contacts and your email contacts and stuff like that. But to back up your phone with the pictures, you have to buy, to get more space, you have to buy into it. And I never really looked. I always thought it was like $9 a month or $15 a month, and I felt my opinion is I got burned by Noom, the weight loss app I used, on their monthly thing, which I truly believe I was overcharged for. And they said they weren't very nice about it, basically. But I finally went to apple.com and typed in, what does the cloud cost? And for 20 gigs, I think it's 20 gigs, it's $3 a month. And you can set your phone to automatically back up your videos or your photos to the cloud. I think specifically when you're connected to Wi-Fi, because otherwise you can blow your data rate on your phone, your cellular data rate, considering the amount of video footage I do shoot on a phone. So that was this eye-opener, and I was like, oh, and so on the page about how much the costs are, it lists what other things the Apple iCloud offers, right? And it said it offers Apple HomeKit. And I was like, oh, what's that? Oh, HomeKit secure video support for up to 5 cameras. So I've been always a little leery of some more security cameras around the little house upstate, because there's not a lot to steal, but just what if someone wants to break the windows or something? There are teenagers running around, and it would be nice to check if I forgot to bring the trash cans in or something like that. But I've always been worried with these security cameras, again, with a subscription pricing plan. If you want to see what's happening at your house and you're not there, you have to pay some kind of plan, and that's a subscription for $15 a month or whatever. I'm just guessing, but that's, it's $175 a year or something. And all those little costs add up over time, because you've got you've got your streaming box, whether it's, the Amazon Fire or the Apple TV or whatever. All that adds up. With iCloud, with 200 gigs of storage, not 20, 200 gigs of storage, you have first of all, with the 50 gigabyte, which is the least expensive, you've got 50 gigs of storage and secured HomeKit secure video support for 1 camera. With the 200 gig, you have HomeKit secure video support for 5 cameras, okay? And the pricing for the US, the 200 gig one, so that would be 5 cameras plus 200 gigabytes of storage for the video coming off your phone, so you would never lose the footage. You could just download it if you forgot your phone or whatever. It's $3 a month. That's $36 a year. I would pay $36 a year to save my brain the annoyance and getting, well, we could go into the more headspace kind of stuff. But anyway, instead of being annoyed at yourself for forgetting to back up your camera, you can be happy that you signed up for the 200 gig, $3 a month Apple iPhone. I don't know if the Google Camera OS offers this or not, but I am an Apple fanboy, and I do trust Apple's security as far as people hacking into Apple iCloud versus hacking into your local storage server with a very weak Wi-Fi. They also offer Hide My Email, which allows you to, when you have to sign up for just about anything, they want your email address. You can give them this anonymized email address for all that stuff you want to sign up for. And that way, people aren't selling your personal email address. They're selling this bogus email address. I could go into it. You can look it up, Hide My Email. And also iCloud Private Relay, which is a very good way to lock down your searching on the internet. If you use the Safari browser, the iCloud Private Relay, that hides, I think, just about everything from your internet service provider and whatever website you're visiting and anyone in between. And it's $3 a month. So that brings me to the next thing. I went on the iCloud pages to see what security cameras are supported, and the Eufy brand are. That's EUFY. And Eufy cameras are made by Anker, Anker, which to my mind, and actually Wirecutter, the New York Times review site, supports this, a product review site. They make some of the best computer cables, phone cables, USB cables on Amazon. They're more expensive than the others, but they don't break. They're really well made. Whenever I bought any Anker ones, I've been very, very happy with them. So their Eufy brand security cameras have their own home-based server. You can have it's called a base unit, sits in your house, and you can slide in SSD drives, solid state drives into that. But they work with Apple HomeKit, so you will bypass the Eufy home server, which might be vulnerable to hacking, and you just hook it up to HomeKit. It's in your iCloud, and you can check videos from, the past 2 weeks in your house and see if anyone knocked over your trash cans. Or a lot of times it's just bears in the yard, and me and my neighbors share videos from our security cameras of bears in our yard, and these are big bears. And you're like, oh. Anyway, that was kind of rambling to say, if you do have an Apple phone, check out the iCloud. It backs up everything. 5 gigabytes is free, and its default is usually to turn that on. And so if you get your phone stolen, you can download your information to your new phone. By the way, if you ever get your phone stolen, lock the phone immediately. Use your iPad or your desktop, log in and lock the phone, because that makes the phone worthless to whoever stole it. Actually, in London is a huge thing right now where there's 2 people on a scooter and they grab someone's iPhone, and then who's ever in your emergency contact list, they call them and threaten them with whatever unless they provide the 6-digit code to unlock your phone, which is really bad. So if you can lock your phone immediately, you avoid that kind of thing. How's this for? Anyway, that serves to say that I've been looking at the Eufy cameras, and of course I went to Amazon Renewed, which is their, what's that called? Renewed. I'm blank. You know the word I'm talking about. Anyway, I think a lot of times it's stuff that never sold, or maybe it was sold and returned and never opened. I've had actually very good experiences with the Amazon Renewed And also with the Apple Renewed, I've bought every one of my iMacs, I think, from them that way. Anyway, they have a kit with 3. You can get it with 2, 3, or 4 cameras, and each camera doesn't need to be plugged into the wall. It has a little solar panel on the top, and I'm going to get those and put them around the house, put them in the garage. And I'm really excited about that. I'm looking forward to having a little bit more security and peace of mind, and also knowing I don't have to pay, a security camera company, some kind of onerous fee every month, and then trying to cancel that fee, which can be a pain. But yeah, if you want to see the Amazon Renewed products, you go to Amazon.com. And in the search bar, I think you can type in whatever, iPhone 12 Renewed. But if you just go down to the bottom, all the way to the bottom of whatever page you're looking at, there's a gray bar that lists all the companies that Amazon owns, which is a little scary. They own Alibris, which is the used book company. They own Woot now, which is the company that puts stuff on super sales, stock, selling out stock on things. But they have Amazon Renewed. The link is down there. So I just click on that link, and then I typed in Eufy. I can't remember the model name of the camera. Oh, with a home base. You want the home base 3, I believe it is. Double check on the Apple iCloud page about the compatibility of your cameras with the iCloud. But anyway, that's a long way to say I've been avoiding this because I just didn't bother to look at how much the iCloud thing cost. You can get terabytes of storage if you want. What does the terabyte go for? 12 terabytes. Oh, 2 terabytes is $10 a month. That's a ton of storage. I have 4 terabyte drives, and I fill one up maybe in 6 months. That's what like video footage. So think about that. But anyway, $3 a month. I'm going to get some. I will link to the cameras, and I will put them in the newsletter as well. I'll put them in the newsletter after I buy them and hook them up. I don't like to recommend stuff that I haven't ever used. I mean, you can look at the Amazon reviews and that, but I think a lot of those are written by bots or people that they pay. I've gotten actually emails from companies that says, we'll give you the money. Will you buy this on Amazon, keep it, and then write a review on it? And we'll reimburse your money, and we'll also pay you X. So, and they'll say, we want you to say these 3 things in the review. And if you read 2 or 3 reviews and they all say, oh, with the superior video quality of the night video, or with the 4K resolution of night video, you see these key phrases repeated, which your average person writing a review is not going to say, well, the high-res 4K night video is phenomenal. They're just going to say the video footage is pretty good, So you can filter out the, 5-star or 4-star reviews, whatever they are, of that kind of thing. That was a lot. Should I have a sip of water now and hydrate? Yeah, I think so. All right, I actually have a list here. I talked about that. So I had another interesting, actually, online purchase experience. It's a very long story, but I'm going to insulate the 2 bedrooms of our apartment in New York are above a crawl space, and there's no insulation between the crawl space and our bedrooms. So we have a wood floor with a single layer wood floor. It looks like actually someone ripped up the decorative floor, and it's just the underlayment is what we're on. And the underlayment looks like pine. It looks like cool old pine. It's 100-year-old pine. But I've realized with our air conditioning, we have the mini splits, each blower unit, we're essentially, all the cold air is falling through the cracks of the wood floor, because you can see through the floor in some places. It's not sealed, it's not vapor sealed or anything, into the crawl space, because cold air, goes lower, hot air goes up. So I've been researching different ways to insulate that, and also put in a vapor barrier of some sort. And spray foam would be the easiest answer. There are some questions about how long that stuff off gases, it depends. There are so many answers. If you look on the DUI Stack Exchange, you get some answers. You look on Reddit, you get even worse ones. And then I remembered that my basement in our little house has rock wool in the ceiling. So between the basement and the first floor of our little house, the basement's not considered living space. So we run this insulation program with the electric company up there. So they insulate between the basement and the first floor. And it looks like fiberglass insulation, except it's made from rock wool, which is rocks that are heated up and then kind of spun out. So it has a lot of airspace in it, and it's fireproof, and it doesn't off gas. And they make a version of this, which is fairly dense. It's kind of hard to describe. When you get it, it feels, when you're handling it, it almost feels like a 4-inch thick piece of foam, like upholstery foam. Like I made some dog beds and I bought upholstery foam. It has that kind of weight and feel, but it's made of spun heated rock. It's not a true vapor barrier, but it has some moisture resistance in it. And that's enough for me because the dirt floor is fairly dry in the crawl space. But it offers 3.5 inches offers R15 of insulation, which is plenty for what I want to accomplish. So I'm going to crawl through the crawl space and what I did was I went to Lowe's, and there is a Lowe's nearby, but as this being Brooklyn, to get there and get back and get another parking spot is an endeavor. And they offer, if you spend more than $100, the shipping is, they'll deliver it that day on some products. So I bought a bundle of rock wool and a rock wool insulation saw, which looks like a bread knife with a big handle on it, and some of the metal support rods. It looks like maybe thick 12, very, very stiff 12 gauge wire, because basically you put the rock wool, which is pre-cut to 15 inches or 15.5 inches because it's going to go in a joist space. And the idea is that it will probably hold itself up, but with the stuff that looks like fiberglass insulation, that rock wool, you need these rods. And also I've read where you do need the rods with these as well. So Lowe's I ordered it all at 8:00 in the morning, and they said, we will ship this between 2:00 in the afternoon and 8:00 at night. I was like, oh, this is perfect. I can work on it tomorrow. And I didn't really pay attention to it after that. I gave those guys my secondary cell phone number, which you can get on it's called Sudo, SUDO. You can get a second phone number from them it's $9 a year, which is great because if someone wants a text message to confirm a delivery or something. So I got that text that said, we're gonna ship your stuff. But I got an email, because I don't look at email every minute of the day, that said, we're shipping 2 of your 3 items. And what they didn't ship were the rods, the support rods. And so the delivery guy comes, and he gives me the saw and the bale insulation. I said, where's the rods? And he shows me his manifest, and it says 2 items, not 3. And so I looked at the email, and they said, oh, we're not shipping your other item. But it was radio silence after that. There was no offer. First of all, it's not the end of the world, obviously, you just got it home delivered, But I thought, I wanted to test this and see if it would all work, because in my mind it sounded like a brilliant solution, but you know how that goes, right? Yes, you do, because you live like my world. But I was also cheesed, and it's such a first world way, but they didn't offer any follow-up to, hey, you can get this at the other store, or you could order it from us online and we can offer 2-day shipping or something. It was just dead. You're not getting this. So they actually asked me for a review, and I'm going to, or a survey. They wanted me to take a survey, and I will include that in my survey. That does not always happen. So if you do order from Home Depot and Lowe's, I don't know about the Menards and that if they deliver, but it's either a very minimal fee, or if you spend a certain amount, it's free. And my thinking on that is the Lowe's delivery company, they outsource the delivery, but that truck was already driving around my neighborhood. And to make one more stop for me is less gas in my car to go there and clog up the roads, that kind of thing. So I think the carbon footprint of the delivery is pretty low. And man, is it nice just to have a big bale of insulation delivered to your door. But when you do that, check the emails and just make sure, because I did my shopping and I said, I wanted to make sure that all the stuff, these 3 items were in stock at my local Lowe's, and the website said yes. But inventory, it's in a server somewhere in Portland, or, where there's a bunch of hydropower in Oregon. And it may say they have 3 of them in stock in the Brooklyn Lowe's, which is on the Gowanus Canal, if you're all familiar with that. It's right next to the metal recycler. So it's really cool. You can sit in the parking lot and watch these giant cranes with magnetic, instead of a scoop, they have this giant magnet on it, and they lift up these big hunks of refrigerator or, steel, and they drop it into a barge, which is docked up against the metal recycler. And then you can get a sandwich from the sandwich truck that's in the Lowe's parking lot. And that's kind of fun, And then the F train is elevated at that point, and it goes really high over it's on a bridge, I guess you'd call it, over the canal. It's a very New York-y moment. You're at the canal, you're watching this recycler with a barge, and then the F train's going across the top, and then the Brooklyn Queens Expressway is also going over it. How did I get on this subject? Anyway, yeah, the Brooklyn Lowe's, which is on the Gowanus Canal. All right, so that was just my story. I did find the rods on the Evil Empire Amazon, and they will be here tomorrow. I do actually, to kind of offset my online shopping, I pick a home delivery day, and I usually make it a couple days afterward because I don't need the stuff overnight. And it does, instead of having to air freight some metal insulating rods, to me, they can just be on a truck instead. And, it doesn't have to be there right away. How's that sound? Anyway, that's my world. If you are having an asthma attack, or your friend is, and you don't have your albuterol inhaler, coffee works. Or Diet Coke. A lot of diet drinks have caffeine in them. I don't know if like Red Bull works or not. It's not tryptophan, it's they have some kind of a zizzy chemical in them. I don't know if that one pumps up your heart or not, because I don't drink those drinks. They're not any worse than coffee, I'm sure. Coffee has some health benefits. So I think it does. That's what I keep telling myself anyway. Anyway, if you like this world, if you like Eric's world, I do have a Patreon where people punt me a couple bucks a month, like a cup of coffee a month, an urban cup of coffee a month. And that gets you some behind the scenes pictures and some video footage and what I call the after show, which is more of me talking. Like after I record this one, I have a couple of things I want to talk about extra, and that'll be in the after show, which is a bit more like this. I'm just rambling because I have to tell you a secret. I took a couple of glugs of my wife's regular iced coffee before I started recording this. By the way, there is a certain point of no return with caffeine for certain things, one of them being depression. So if you find that coffee helps your depression, that's going to wear off. But anyway, let me know your delivery stories. Let me know your insulation stories. If you have some suggestions, we could do a deep dive on vapor barriers if you want. I know more than I want to know. More than the average person I know more about than that. All right. Big shout out. I want to say to my friend Kent. I made this one for you, sir. And see you guys in the after show. I'll see you. Garden Fork Radio is produced by Garden Fork Media LLC in Brooklyn, New York. The music in the show is licensed from audioblocks.com and uniquetracks.com.